A
I
little
can't wait
child
to
walks
show
into the
them.
living room holding a drawing they spent hours making. They smile with excitement, hoping someone will look up. But the adults are busy. One is staring at a phone. Another is arguing. No one notices the child quietly standing there. After waiting for a moment, they slowly lower the paper, fold it against their chest, and walk away without saying a word. Most people see this as a small moment. Psychology suggests it can become something much bigger. Moments like these can shape how a child sees love, attention, and their own worth. Psychologists have noticed this pattern for decades, but most people never connected to adulthood. The effects often stay hidden, showing up later in relationships, confidence, and the way people handle emotions. The story begins much earlier than most realize, and once you understand the psychology of the neglected child, you may start seeing these hidden patterns in a completely different way. Imagine two children waking from a nightmare. One runs to a parent who offers a hug and gentle reassurance. The fear quickly fades. The other stands outside the bedroom door, then quietly returns to bed. Maybe no one comes. Maybe they've learned their feelings don't matter. After enough nights, they stop asking for comfort. This is one of the first signs of emotional neglect. The child doesn't stop needing love, they simply stop expecting it. Their mind adapts by believing it's safer to rely on no one. Years later, this often looks like independence. They rarely ask for help, even when they're struggling. Others see strength, but it may actually be a survival habit formed in childhood. If this feels familiar, you're not alone. Your mind may have learned these patterns long before you understood them. If these ideas resonate with you, consider subscribing. This channel explores the hidden psychology behind everyday human behavior, and there's always more to discover. But this is only the first hidden pattern. The next one is even harder to recognize. Imagine two children at the dinner table. One excitedly shares their day. Their family listens and responds. The other tries to speak but is interrupted. It happens again and again. Eventually, they stop trying. This is another hidden effect of neglect. When a child's voice is repeatedly ignored, they begin to believe their thoughts don't matter. Silence becomes a way to avoid disappointment. Years later, they may struggle to express their feelings or ask for what they need. People see them as quiet or reserved, but their silence often began long before adulthood. They didn't choose to hide their voice, they simply learned that no one was listening. But this pattern doesn't stay inside. It often follows them into every close relationship they build. Imagine two children making the same mistake. One is comforted and reminded they're still loved. The other receives attention only when they are quiet, helpful, or perfect. Slowly, they begin believing love must be earned. This is a common effect of emotional neglect. The child learns to please others instead of expressing their own needs. Keeping everyone happy feels safer than being rejected. As adults, they often struggle to say no, apologize too much, and feel guilty for putting themselves first. They're not simply seeking approval, they're searching for the acceptance they missed as a child. But this isn't the deepest effect. The next pattern quietly changes how they see themselves every single day. Imagine a child bringing home a good report card. Instead of hearing, "I'm proud of you," they hear silence or "you could do better." Over time, they begin criticizing themselves before anyone else can. This is a hidden effect of emotional neglect. Without encouragement, a child's inner voice often becomes their biggest critic. They start believing they're never enough. As adults, they may overthink mistakes, doubt their abilities, and struggle to accept compliments. Even success doesn't quiet that voice inside. The truth is, that voice wasn't born with them. It was shaped by what they never heard growing up. But this pattern doesn't stay inside. The next one quietly affects every close relationship they build. Imagine meeting someone who is kind, patient, and genuinely cares about you. Most people would feel safe, but for someone who grew up with emotional neglect, closeness can feel surprisingly uncomfortable. A part of them wants connection, while another part fears being hurt again. This is another hidden effect of neglect. When love felt distant or unpredictable in childhood, trusting someone as an adult can feel risky. They may pull away, hide their feelings, or expect people to leave even when nothing is wrong. Others may mistake this for being cold or uninterested. In reality, they're often protecting themselves from a pain they've experienced before. The hardest part is, they're not running from love, they're running from the possibility of losing it. But this isn't the final pattern. The next one may be the most surprising of all. Imagine a child who comforts everyone else but never gets comforted. When a parent is overwhelmed, angry, or emotionally absent, the child often learns to become the responsible one. They stay quiet, solve problems, and worry about everyone else's feelings while hiding their own. This is another hidden effect of emotional neglect. The child grows up believing their value comes from taking care of others, not from simply being loved. As adults, they become the person everyone depends on. They're always ready to listen, help, or sacrifice. Yet when they need support themselves, they often stay silent because asking for help feels unfamiliar. The irony is heartbreaking. They know how to care for everyone except themselves. But even this isn't the end of the story. The final pattern explains why healing often begins with one simple realization. Many neglected children grow into adults who spend years wondering, why am I like this? They blame themselves for struggling to trust, asking for too little, or feeling like they're never enough. But these patterns didn't appear by accident. They were shaped by experiences that taught them to survive instead of feel safe. The most powerful moment isn't when the past changes, it's when they finally understand that their reactions once had a purpose. What helped them survive as a child may no longer be what they need today. Sometimes healing doesn't begin with becoming someone new. It begins with realizing that the child who felt unseen deserved the love, attention, and comfort they never received. If this video gave you a new perspective, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. And if you'd like to explore more hidden patterns of human behavior, consider subscribing for future videos. The neglected child inside you never needed to be perfect. They simply needed to be seen, heard, and loved. Understanding this won't change the past, but it can change how you see yourself. Many of the habits you carry today were once ways to survive, not signs of weakness. When you stop asking, "What's wrong with me?" and start asking, "What happened to me?" everything begins to look different. Sometimes healing begins with understanding. And once you recognize these hidden patterns, you'll start seeing them everywhere. If this video gave you a new perspective, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. And if you'd like to explore more hidden patterns of human behavior, consider subscribing for future videos. Before you move on with your day, think about one question. What if the parts of yourself you've spent years trying to fix were actually the parts that once protected you? The child who stayed quiet, expected too little, or carried everything alone wasn't choosing that life. They were adapting to the world they knew. The good news is that understanding these patterns gives you something powerful, awareness, and awareness is often the first step toward change. Sometimes the greatest transformation doesn't begin the day your life changes. It begins the day you finally understand your story. If this video gave you a new perspective, share your thoughts in the comments. And if you'd like to discover more hidden patterns of human behavior, consider subscribing. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Before you go, remember this. The child who stayed quiet, expected little, or carried everything alone wasn't weak, they were simply adapting to the world they grew up in. Understanding these patterns won't change the past, but it can change the way you see yourself. Sometimes healing begins the moment you finally understand your story. If this video gave you a new perspective, share your thoughts in the comments, and if you'd like to discover more hidden patterns of human behavior, consider subscribing. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.